So here is a create order service from my online shop. Today what I want to do is I want to add the functionality for when an order gets placed. I want to be notified, so I don't have to keep checking every day or something like that, right? Let's have a quick overview. Service attribute tag to basically registered for dependency injection automatically. I have a couple of services here that I inject. iOrder manager to manage orders. Cart checkout it's another service that is used to complete the checkout once we have placed the order. So we remove the cart and reduce the stock and stuff like that. We then have an email sync, which is basically an email sync which we use to send notifications and emails and stuff like that. Then there is the render shop email, which is responsible for actually taking the email and creating the HTML for it. Okay, so these services are listed here, and potentially the emails, the render shop emails could be called from the email sync, but I have chosen for some reason to do it here. So nevertheless, let's go ahead and add the functionality, and we can do it through a test-driven way. Let's go ahead and do it, right? I don't have any tests for this currently, so this is going to be my first test writing for it. Obviously, I know that all of this works because I've tested it manually. Let's go ahead and, do a test. Here we have a task due, and specifically what I want to do is notifies admin and managers of placed order. Okay, and here what I want to do is I want to create an instance of this create order. Most of the times, if I have other tests, I'm gonna need to reuse it. So what I tend to do is I will create a constructor where I will have my create order. We can even do something like this and create a prop of this type and call it underscore order or order and remove the rest, and this can be read only, right? Let's come here, import it, read only, and I'm gonna make it private maybe, and spell it correctly, obviously, like that. Now this is the part where we need to inject some services into it. For those who don't know how to mock services, this is the part where it could be confusing, right? How do we do this and all that jazz? So let's go ahead and see how to handle it. So we have a bunch of these services. Let's go ahead and see what we can mock. Go ahead, place your cursor like so. Just do some ID magic. Mac, we don't have any Macs. We should have mock, something like that, right? Implement missing references for all of them. All of that is now brought in. All of these should really be instantiated, so let's just do a little bit of ID magic again. We're just gonna give them new values, right? So every time the class spins up, all of this is going to be renewed in here. Then what you can do is you can go ahead and supply your order object here, or rather not order manager object, right? So we injected it into there straight away. We then have a cart checkout. Now the thing with mock is it's not going to mock this cart checkout right there, so it's very good. It only works on interfaces basically. It will not work on an object. So for now we will skip it, and we're just gonna say null here. email sync object, we have no problem here. So let's go ahead, just move this around a little bit. And then the last one, again, it is not an interface, so we're gonna need to just supply null here. So here we can see 2 out of 4 orders are kind of hard to mock, right? With mock queue specifically. So let's go ahead and see what's another way that we can mock it, right? If we go to create checkout, you check which function you're calling. So you're calling complete. Okay, cool. So we want to supply our own implementation of this function. Let's go ahead and come back to create order. We will create a private class. Let's copy the name cart checkout mock, and I will inherit from cart checkout. You don't have to create this class in here if you don't want to, but here what I want to do is I want to override some members. which I can't do. For testing purposes, what it's okay to do is go ahead and mark your method as virtual, right? This now enables it for override, so we can mark this as complete, okay? And now what you do is you basically just say, all right, well, how do you want to override this, okay? In my case, I don't really care for what it does, so we can just go ahead and return task completed. Since it is a void, it doesn't really do anything, and now it is something that we can just supply here to, you know, supply cart mock with an iCart manager. That's not really a problem since we're not going to be using it either way, right? Let's just hope that in the cart checkout there is no checks for this being null. Usually it shouldn't be null from the dependency injection, right? So this is how we sort out the dependency for this. The render shop emails looks like it implements a base email sender which contains some base functionality, but again, this class, we can either hide it behind an interface, we can start making methods virtual, so we can go ahead and override them. I'm gonna go ahead and do just that because I am a little bit conscious of time here, and I think this is a perfectly okay solution. Although I think the payload, the object that you want to render, I think later on I will be moving it to the iEmail sync, okay? And I don't know if hiding behind an interface is that important here. So anyway, we have our render shop emails mock that inherits from this. Let's go ahead and supply a constructor that, you know, does constructor things. Double check that the constructor isn't being used for anything other than to set a global property, which it isn't. If you have some kind of, you know, serious checks there, you want to actually, you know, mock them. Right, so here we have it. We have two of these thingies here. You know, they return a string. So what do? You go ahead, you create a prop where you have the string and you have result, okay? And that's it. Now all you have to do is go ahead and supply the result here. Obviously, because this is a task, you say task from result, and there you go. All right, essentially mocking a class that you can't hide behind mock queue. There you go. Remove this render shop email mock. Let's go ahead and put this here. Now what you will notice is when I go ahead and create this order specifically, I can't really control the thing that I'm mocking here. Basically the result of the email template. Yeah, I can't mock it. And another issue here is that I might need these to return different things just to have a confirmation. So let's go ahead and mark them something like this. I'll bring them above each individual ones to, you know, I think make it a little bit simpler. And in case I will, yeah, something like that, put it here, async result, right? There you go. So I just set the properties here. They will return that specific thing. Instead of having this now in a constructor, what I will do is say, go ahead and supply me a render shop emails mock here. And what I will do is I will just construct my service here. Okay, let's go ahead and just return this, where we can change this again to private because it's only used here, and the mock, well, put it here, right? And now we're injecting the mock with the results that we're expecting to, you know, to be there. Now that we can go ahead and create our order, create order service. Let's go ahead, create service. We only need to inject the new render emails mock. Here I will go ahead and check, take this mock out actually. Let's grab it here of our emails mock, right? And then we'll pass it into here. Constructor can be null since that's what's being put in there. And usually, like if you're tired like of putting this into the constructor, obviously you don't have to do this thing here. You can just offset the null to be somewhere here, right? Not a big problem. That's a problem. I don't like that. We'll fix it later. So Right. Where are we? We want to go ahead and set some of the results. So at the moment in here, the only thing that I'm depending on is the order confirmation async. Okay. I want this to generate some kind of email template. I'm not testing the service itself, so I'm okay with it to return an order confirmation result template 1. Okay. This is going to go ahead and send the notification to the customer. What I want to do now is I also want to duplicate this and say order placement notification async. Okay, we're gonna go ahead create this property since we don't have it, right? TDD. This is gonna give us template 2. That's what I'm gonna be checking for. And next thing, let's go ahead and create an order. We'll call do, and we need an order for which this is all going to get called, right? So we can not go too overboard here. Let's just go ahead and create a new one. Let's see how far or how much do we need, right? And we'll just place it here. We can then await on this. Again, this is void, so not much is going to be happening. And next thing that we're going to see, we're going to have a create order reference. Now, this can be a bit of a problem, this sort of generating random order reference. Again, the sort of service, because I've written this so long ago and I didn't take it out. I don't want to display a GUID in a order reference. This is okay to be taken out into its own service and injected into here as well. But generally, I mean, this is not something that's going to impede my testing, right? ID is going to get set, yeah, no problem, right? Next thing, what create order, it's going to get put into there. I mean, I'm not using the results, so nothing's going to be really done there. But primarily, like if I'm doing TDD, so I put my order in there. What do I expect to happen? Well, I'm expecting my email sync to receive a send email request, right? So these new send email requests are these requests that I send down the pipe, and in the background, the hosted service sends out emails, okay? So really what I'm doing is for my email sync, I want to verify that, let's say, send a sync, and that this is gonna get called with something specific, right? Let's go ahead, we'll use it. This is how we basically check where it is going to be a send email request. And in the constructor, we're gonna have the request, and here we're gonna perform some checks. So full order cart email. Full order, it's because when the order gets passed into here, it is really like a bit of a malformed order. It has a bit of information on it, but once we do create it, the full order, it contains the cart, all the products, like full information, because that is what's used to create the email. The full order is really going to contain a couple of more things, but we can still do this no problem really. So I'm going to put the R here, and will that might be a little bit hard. Yeah, let's just start doing it like this. So R, we will say 2 equals email, right? So some kind of email, and our subject. What kind of subject do I want? I really want order placed, action required. And the problem here is I will have like some kind of full order ID, which I don't really have. It's like this thing here. So what I can say is starts with, okay? If I'm struggling for space, I can say I want to put it down, but it doesn't make it look all that prettier. And then the last bit, but not least, is the email message, right? Which is going to come from there. So that's really going to be template 2. So what's that called? Message equals template 2. Template 2, right? There we go. And that's really what I expect. Let's close that off. I'm not sure what that one is. Look like I'm missing one more parentheses, right? Again, as always, if you're struggling with these, you can take them out and whatnot. I don't know if Fluent validation works better with this. This is okay with me. Okay, So in a test-driven, you know, development TDD manner, let's just run it, let it crash, and see where we work from there, right? So yeah, okay, oh man, the test crashed, 1 brain cell time. What do we have? Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Where are we? Okay, so it points to the line 37, but really, because I'm a full professional blown TDD master, I know it's really the full order that's null, because that's where we have like these accessors, and that's never null. Obviously, I have all the tests to prove it, that condition can never occur, you know, safety first. What we really gotta do is we gotta you know, coerce our order by ID to return our order, right? And since we don't know what the ID is going to be that's placed for it, it makes our test a little bit, you know, like not 100% precise. But anyway, before we create the service, that is really where I like to place my sort of setups for the mock. So we set up, what do we have to set up here? Let's see, get order by ID. Get order by ID. Any what's it called? Any string is what this is going to be, right? So when this gets called with any string, and I know that it's going to be just some random string that I generate there. Let's see okay, I did it too. Hold up, I don't need that. This is going to return something, and the specific thing that it's going to return is, well, I control what it returns, and we don't need to go too crazy. We can go ahead and say something along the lines of, obviously can't determine the type because I can't even determine it. It's going to be an order, right? And the order, well, is going to have a new cart, right? And the cart itself, I mean, it only ever needs the email, the one that I'm going to give it here. All right, and yeah, I think that's about it. That's about it here. Let's see if Ryder is kind enough to bless me with the 1-line setup. I think that's about it. As always, run the test and see what's up. Mock your exception, right? Expected invocation, right? Yeah, expected invocation, but obviously this doesn't actually happen. This isn't actually happening here, right? And I need this to happen. So what do? Okay, well, let's go ahead and invoke it with an email, right? The email isn't going to be just this, right? And since I have admin and managers, there's going to be multiple things, right? So this maybe is going to start to look a little bit different now, since I've already actually forgotten what I was testing, right? But let's go ahead, and for the purpose of this test, we're just going to try to make it pass from here, and then we're going to see what, you know, what's up. And obviously email message, because I want the second one, the template 2. I'm actually going to put this here, and nothing in here really returns this. So let's go ahead and put this thing, mocking thing here. We can't override it because it doesn't exist. So this is where a new piece of functionality will emerge on my render shop emails. And let's go ahead and duplicate it here. Let's go ahead, place it here. What it does right now isn't so important. I mean, I'm going to, you know, implement it after this, but at the moment I just need to mock it. So there is no two asyncs here. All right, hopefully, yeah, that looks fine to me. And this should return this bit here. And this is order placement notification. That is what I want here. Pardon if the window is too small for you to see. And I think we can go ahead and override this as well. Some people do not like overriding these things like this. So I'm getting a spidey sense that I actually should do this instead of overriding the variable. So let's go ahead and place it over there. Okay, so there's the order placement notification. Since I am hooking it up here, that's what should happen. Otherwise, I mean, by setting this template 1, I'm setting myself to verify this as well, although I am not going to do that, right? So let's go ahead and run this. Cool, and there we go, right? Test passes. A couple of problems. Obviously, the email is not for admin and managers, so that is something that is gonna have to get fixed, right? So in the spirit of TDD, let's go ahead and we will need an let's call this staff registry, registry, right? It's not something that exists just yet. Staff registry, right? Let's go ahead and create an interface, right? There it is, right? My good little interface. This is something that is gonna need to go on here, so Control Shift F6 to add it. Let's go ahead and, I don't know, place it somewhere here. Yeah, this thing, staff registry, the thing that I've just created here. It could struggle a little bit because actually this is in the test namespace, so let's go ahead and take this out into its own. So move to files, we'll say cancel on adding it to Git. I'll just grab the iStaff registry. This is something that should only be used on the application layer so far, so I'm just gonna go ahead, paste it into here, and just make sure that you know, I move it in the appropriate namespace. Right, stop it there, come back to the error, and it says cannot access internal one. So again, come back here, make it public, and there we go, right? Not too bad. Now I can actually go ahead and you know, inject the service. And if you're basically what I have is the application layer is going to consume the interface. The actual thing that is going to have access to the administrators where identity is implemented is here. So interface is here, implementation will come from the higher level where identity and all that stuff lives. Okay, so let's go ahead, collapse that. I appreciate this could be a little bit cluttered, so I'm gonna try to not move too quickly. Again, Control F6 here for me in Writer. Let's go ahead and add a new parameter, iStaff registry. For the name, staff registry, leave code non-compilable. Everywhere where this pops up now, I know that, you know, that's where the mistake is, right? It's not too crazy hard kind of thing, right? There's our staff registry. Let's go ahead and create a field for it. We can now, you know, use it. And on the staff registry, what I really want to do is I want to make sure that for all emails that I'm going to supply it, so staff emails, a new string array, let's say email 1, email 2, email 3. Okay, I want to make sure that it's been called with all of these emails, and for that, I mean, I can just go ahead and use a for each loop, staff emails, email, put it over here, right there, put the email in there and verify that this has been, you know, called there, and I can run it to make sure that it breaks. I am aware that it breaks. Let's go ahead and, you know, actually implement the thing straight away, right? So on the staff registry, get manager emails. All right, that's kind of what I'm looking for. We'll go ahead and create the method. Get manager emails. This is fine. What it should be returning is a enumerable of strings, right? So something I should be able to iterate here. And maybe I want to be a little bit more specific. iStaff registry, shop staff registry, right? And then get manager emails, shop manager emails, right? Being just a little bit more specific. Okay, so now that we got that, we can await on this and we can go ahead and grab the emails. For each of these emails, we can go ahead and, you know, grab the email and go ahead and send the email here, right? Order placed, action required, looks good. Let's go ahead and verify this. running the test breaks, and expected the mock invocation at least once, but was never performed. And you know, that's because we never really mock our get shop manager email. So let's go ahead and do that as well. Stuff registry. This is our shop. Okay, no, never mind. Shop stuff. Should I rename the thing? I mean, I think I should. Let's set up our only method that we have, and we'll say that it returns staff emails, and let's do as enumerable. And I think this is because this is returns a sync. And I mean, there we go. We can make this really enumerable, so we don't have to do the cast there. But I think that should be all right. Let's go ahead and run the test again. And there we go. Right. So kind of understanding that I set up an order with an email here. I set up 3 emails here to be sent with. All of these are going to get verified. The ID that gets sent and all of that doesn't really matter. For the other functionality, I don't think that it's possible to break that. I can go ahead and run all the tests, although I don't want to, right? Anyway, this was an example of how you can use mocking and how to write a test. That is maybe not a so simple example that everybody's crying, oh man, 2 + 2 function, man, it's too easy. Well, here you go. Hopefully you've enjoyed it.